Welcome back to my channel, and once again we'll be watching 4.5 hours of insanely interesting gameplay today. As always, there will be highs and lows, especially deep ones. So grab a nice drink and a tasty snack and enjoy. In fact, my life as Bona McFlauschapo started out watching a fight. However, I was always afraid that someone would nibble on my tail feathers from behind, so I couldn't follow the fight with my full attention. In the end, however, there was neither a winner nor a loser. The Spino couldn't keep up and his opponent never returned. And so, I just watched one fight after the next and was bored to death. These are the moments when I think about logging off and watching a series. But unfortunately, Ginny and Georgia wasn't out at the time, and so I probably wouldn't have found anything better to do. So I made friends with strangers, tried to find people to give trophies to, and even got attacked on my honorable mission. Unfortunately, I couldn't bite back, otherwise I would lose my trophy. So I had to try to avoid this little bread roll, and it really haunted me for a long time. In the end, I got rid of it, but of course it slowed down my search for babies in need. And so, my journey took me through half the map, and the only thing I found were battles. I don't think the Rex was quite fully grown, but I can't put a trophy on the ground during the fight. But then I found a baby in the chat. We're not compatible, but to find each other, we briefly joined a group. And so began my arduous journey. And when I finally arrived, things got really wild. You can already see people walking around in the background, and of course, my first thought was, shit, we're in a group we're not allowed to be in, and hopefully Akali knows the rules and won't defend me if we're attacked. I then saw a body lying on the ground and wanted to check how much percent it had left, and it disappeared immediately. Nice. As if I had known it, this idiot then pounced on me. But someone else came from the left. But that's not the same kind of dino. And now, it just got totally chaotic. Everyone was fighting against everyone else, and whenever I tried to keep my distance, someone would follow me, and it was impossible to keep track of the situation. I assumed that the two fat little dinosaur things thought I was a Dinon and attacked. What's funny is that they accused me of rule breaking afterwards. We can clearly see that I was bitten in the arse first. The little para took the chance and stepped on the gas. And since my baby dino-loving heart had melted again, and I wanted to officially group with the little para, I also switched to a para. And I'm in Rainbow Hills. That fits quite well. There's rarely anything going on here, so the chance that my para will only have a short life is relatively small. And so I brought Akali to me via the Waystone. Smile also wanted to join us, and so I waited at the Waystone. If I had known that it would take 15 real-time minutes, we could have easily started questing. Meanwhile, Akali, who only spoke Spanish, tried to have a conversation with me. Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, so it was a really insightful and stimulating conversation for both of us. You could also tell that Akali was getting super impatient, understandably, and kept asking, "Isn't your friend coming?" or "Where is your friend?" Well, Akali, I'd really like to know that too. But after 25 light years, Smil finally came to us, and we were able to start our wonderful journey. In the end, it's all about questing again. I just realized that all previous gameplays always consisted of me raising someone. But don't worry. In the next gameplay, I'm going to be slaughtered to death the whole time. Akali was fast, already really big, and I knew that every second we were questing was bringing us closer to a safe journey. Akali was so sweet and took the same skin I have equipped. But shortly afterwards, she had to log out, so we said goodbye, and all the security of a herd was gone again. Smile wasn't big enough yet, and I was a walking target again. How nice. Of course, We also heard super loud footsteps a few seconds after Akali left. Sometimes I have the feeling that the universe is just waiting for it. Whatever it was didn't find us, though. Joke's on us. It was just 2 ducks. That's how wrong you can be. But it's reassuring, even if I do feel like a fool. In fact, in addition to the ducks, there were also Barsboldia romping around in the savannah, and Apara was added with Mission. So maybe it would just be a very calm and harmonious gameplay after all. Smeal was no longer so small, and so we became a serious threat if you were a hungry carny looking for easy prey. The cute thing was that Smill tried to imitate my skin. He's just one of the kids I'm most proud of. Didn't we say at some point that Quets and Hats players all share a brain cell? Here we have another example. Who could have imagined that this dude could attack someone after prancing around this area for 20 minutes? The little duckling survived, by the way. So we moved on towards Grand Plains, hoping for some exciting but non-lethal gameplay. But I wanted action, and here I get action. And of course, I was supposed to think again that people must be nice and wanted to get to know us. Sometimes I should just put my naive thoughts in a drawer and run away. Lucky me was chosen to be executed by the sneaky Achilles. I'll just let you enjoy this fight for now and say something about it afterwards. So what are your bets? Who will survive? My friends really did everything they could to protect me halfway, but I really needed a heal call at this point. Unfortunately, nothing came from Smill. I don't know if he didn't think about it, read over the message in the chat, or was simply overwhelmed by the situation. But I was to pay for it with my life. Looking back, I should have fled immediately after the 2 of them approached me and looked for a better location. But I didn't. I had hoped to put some distance between me and the Achilles. Maybe enough that my mates could have distracted them. I then tried to position myself on a cliff in such a way that at least I couldn't be jumped on from behind. Unfortunately, this realization came too late. Smile was approaching in the distance, and I hoped for a heal call that would turn the tide. This point in time, when no one was attacking us, would have been perfect. But when the heal call finally came, my fate was already sealed. The Achilles did really well. I'm not a para-pro, and if Smill hadn't been there, I wouldn't have had a heal call anyway. After all, Jesus didn't come down from heaven to save me. But I was still very annoyed. Growing a para takes far too long for me not to be depressed. So I started questing straight away and waited for my teammates. And then, that crappy server crashed again. Smile then changed Dino and played with another friend and me, and Mission went on my growing out crusade. Mission took really good care of me, and we got through the questing really well. I was almost back after a short time and felt more confident again. However, Mission then had to leave me, and so I was left completely alone. I'd be lying if I said I didn't mind, but that's just the way it is sometimes. But just as I was about to fall into a depression, this little Yunna started to follow me. He actually made my mood much better. And even though we weren't allowed to be in a group, we kept each other company. And after the server restart, I waited for him, and we made our way towards the desolated pass. Xvlo, thank you at this point for accompanying me. You really made my day with the sweetness of your Yuna and your loyalty. And this little Achillo was about to be the death of me. I was so focused on this little arsehole that I didn't notice the real danger. 2 T-Rex had snuck up on me, and I probably took the stupidest route I could have taken, while they waited calmly by the water. In my panic, I simply ran a super long way round the pond and lost far too much stamina as a result. At first, I thought I had put some distance between us, but I was wrong. And for some reason, the two of them just didn't get tired, and so it just became hopeless for me. What a gameplay. My poor Paro. Now I had neither group quests nor Joy to look after me. Wonderful. I'm screwed. Nevertheless, I immediately started questing again. Oh, screw you all. How can you be so unlucky? Why is there another carnivore on the loose who can kill me? Do I somehow have a magnet on my head, or a tracking device that shows hungry carnies where I am, defenseless and alone? This little piece of shit then wanted to play mind games with me along the lines of, "Hi-he, I could bite you any time now." Super funny. And here comes another glimmer of hope in this silent, dead world. 2 new teammates for me. And they were actually both super-duper lovely. Unfortunately, I didn't have that much time to play with them, but I enjoyed every second of it. We'd all had a traumatic day, so we were all the happier to have company. The best thing about the group was the mutual understanding. Everyone just wanted to feel safe and was happy to have found comrades. So we were all sure that we weren't going to Green Valley, but somewhere safe where we could grow out again in peace. And so we began to quest. Everyone was really fair, and everyone made sure that no one got a bigger share than anyone else. The group was really considerate, and looking back, it sounds almost too good to be true. Then there was something carny-shaped running around in the distance again. We were still to find out what it was. But for now, we didn't meet the person. Everyone probably thought I had already suffered PTSD from the deaths of that day. I was still very suspicious at first, and observed our surroundings 10 times more carefully than I usually do. Another loud noise. All right, a Spino is big, but it can't attack us that far from the water anyway. Unless it's a rule breaker. Then we're not safe anywhere, so we'd better retreat. We reached the ponds of Whistling Columns in the light of dawn and refreshed ourselves in the cool water. Our arduous para gameplay was now compounded by massive lags, and we were barely making any progress. Thank goodness OBS also records such malfunctions, because I don't think the in-game record does. And as feared, the server crashed again. I actually wanted to log out in the next few minutes, but now I had to get back on the server to say goodbye properly. So I went to sleep and said a heartfelt goodbye to the 2 of them. I know at that moment, neither of them knew what a service they had done me, but I was really grateful to be able to play with both of them. The gameplay was once again mixed, and I could definitely have done without the 2 deaths. But that's the way it is sometimes. You can't always just win. Actually, I only ever lose. But you know what I mean. So I'll see you next time if you're not already fed up, and goodbye.